His rivals, including Senator Rick Santorum, are doubling down tonight, trying to prove that Mitt Romney is not an unstoppable force. ABC's Jake Tapper spoke with Santorum today.
When Rick Santorum makes this pitch to New Hampshire voters, comparing himself to Ronald Reagan, who won the New Hampshire primary in 1980, he does not mention Mitt Romney's name.
New Hampshire knew what America needed and was a contrast, was bold colors, not pale pastels.
But it's Romney who he's talking about.
Give me one example where you're bold, in a policy way, where you're bold and Mitt Romney is a pale pastel.
Well, health care. In the case of Governor Romney, obviously there is a convoluted record that you'd have to be a yoga instructor to be able to convince people that it's straight.
And as he makes his way from unknown, unsupported candidate on the outskirts of the debate stage to major player center stage, Santorum faces another challenge. While sometimes his staunch advocacy for his conservative principles wins supporters in libertarian New Hampshire as he attacks President Obama, other times he can seem prickly.
All right, guys.
Yesterday he got into an extended, heated back and forth with college students about same-sex marriage. One New Hampshire elected official told me Santorum's decision to get into this squabble was, quote, weird.
I'm going to ask you a question again. If it makes three people happy to get married, based on what you just said, what makes that wrong and what you said right?
But I'm wondering if sometimes when you get in the back and forth and you can even get a little bit testy, if that...
Was I testy today?
My larger question is, to become this national figure, you obviously want to stay true to yourself, but you also, there's a moment here for you to become a president.
I think it's important for people to see how I got to where I am, so they can see, well, okay, now I understand why he's there.
Diane Santorum told us that he has seen an infusion of campaign donations since his strong showing in Iowa, but it came too late for him to be able to buy any TV ad time here in New Hampshire, so he will be really relying upon your debate on Saturday night to make his case to the people of the Granite State. Diane?
And our thanks to you, Jake. And I want to bring in the anchor of this week, George Stephanopoulos, right now. So can anybody block Romney at this point?
Oh, not in New Hampshire, no way. The only question is, how much is he going to win by? And more important, who's going to come in second and have momentum going into South Carolina? But the only way those other candidates can grow right now is to take something out of Mitt Romney.
And as you know, we've been talking about this. I was on Elm Street today walking around, and there was real optimism in there about more jobs.
We've had, I think, like 6 or 7 ribbon cutting ceremonies in the last month or two. Yeah, it's a great place to be.
Hi, how are you? I'm Diane. It's nice. As we know, across the country, people are echoing what's already been happening in New Hampshire, saying that new businesses are opening up. So how do the new good numbers on jobs affect the Republican strategy?
It can't really change their strategy. They still have to argue that things would be much better if they were in charge and their policies were in place. But it makes it a little trickier to talk about because they don't want to be seen dismissing good news that everybody wants right now. And of course, this is very good news for President Obama, but unemployment's still above 8%. This trend has to continue for him to do well in November.
Well, I want to remind everybody, you and I, here, there, tomorrow night, and it's Saturday night, the big debate, and anything can happen, and of course the vote here on Tuesday. But we do want to point out something we were talking about as well. There are people in New Hampshire who can't wait for some serenity in New Hampshire after Tuesday. Take a look at this sign on a diner not far from here. It's Colby's Breakfast and Lunch in Portsmouth, and it says, no politicians, no exceptions, not until after the vote on Tuesday, and to be fair, no journalists either. And they don't have to wait long. Again, the big debate will be at 9 p.m. right here on Saturday night. And I want to point out to everybody that on Sunday something great is going to happen. George Stephanopoulos, I don't know how you're going to do all of this. We'll be back in the chair for this week. Be sure to watch. He has a big broadcast right here from New Hampshire.
It's going to be exciting.